Welcome to the College Football Rundown. How about that entrance? We got the Real JZ joining us. How did you like that new intro song, Mr. Real JZ?
Oh, great to have that entrance there. I like that.
Oh, that's just for SBI, baby. When Woj and I are talking, you don't get that electric guitar. No, that's just for SBI. And we're happy you could join us today, Mr. Real JZ. If you wouldn't mind, this is your first time. You've been on our show before, and we appreciate your Pac-12 insight in college football. We know you are the cream of the crop when it comes to the Pac-12, but this is your first time joining us from SBI. If you could, maybe tell us a little about yourself. Outside of the Pac-12, where are you looking every week? What are you doing over there at SBI?
Well, first, glad to be back and enjoying the rundown this season. Wish my daily fantasy was doing a little better there, but I suppose that's my own fault there. But no, excited that the NHL's back going, getting in full swing. Been diving into that lately.
NHL, you know I love the NHL, right? You and I, we're chumming it up. NHL, man, that is on my radar. College basketball, college football, and the NHL. So I love that you said that, but I hate to say this. I want to bring it up. I don't know if you're going to say it. You're a bit of a soccer fan, aren't you?
I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to the World Cup. Good win by the Hotspurs the other day. Nice stoppage or extra time win. Yeah, good things in soccer going on.
Good things in soccer. Big soccer fan. Hey, we can't all be perfect. So, hey, we'll give you that one. But I did see that about the Hotspurs. I'm happy for you. The fans don't know this. The Rundown does not know this, the Rundown Nation, but the Hotspurs are the Real Jay-Z's team. But what do you got talking about today? I know we've been doing these mini episodes with us and you guys over there at SB Intel. You guys have been bringing us some great content. I'm interested to see where we're going today.
Kind of the first thing I wanted to hit on was the NHL, as we just alluded to, kind of the data-driven models that we're looking at. NHL is a great one, like all sports. It's a numbers thing. You got to look at the numbers and see how things shake out. It is early in the season, so depending on kind of what you're looking at, you can't base everything off of current year's numbers. Got to look at historicals. But if you are basing it off this year, small sample size so far, about 10 games in for most teams. But we're doing what we can with that. The one big thing I've been looking at lately is goals per game, kind of looking at totals. Goals per game is one thing that we can use to help predict totals. Looking at individual teams, taking their stats, combining them, getting their average, kind of projecting what we think a total is going to be. This is just one initial way to look at lines and try and get your totals number. Obviously, that's other factors, goalies, injuries, even within that, looking at goals for, goals against, and each team in that matchup. Kind of talk a little bit more about that later, as I think we'll look at the Bruins, which are an interesting example on that.
It's excellent. And I've been known to drop a better two on the NHL. I'm not going to lie. You're looking at these goals per game metrics. I understand that. Is that correct, sir?
Yep. Yeah. Kind of goals for, goals against for each team, then kind of matching those teams up and seeing what we can guess is going to be an outcome, and then kind of looking at seeing where the books set the lines and seeing where we think we might have an edge.
So here's the question then. You're obviously very familiar with the totals and what you would expect those to come out at. Over there in college football, I got a little bit of knowledge in that space. Let me tell you, they're putting the totals for the games. You know, you get a total around 60, 70, somewhere in that range, maybe in the 50s, or if it's Iowa, you know, maybe down to the 30s. Who knows with that Iowa football team, or a good defense for that matter. But in hockey, what number are we looking at on an average total goals?
6.5's been big. 6 is kind of right in there. It's rare to see that 7, 5.5, really 6.5. But that's one, again, making sure to shop around, look at what we've got out there for the game boards. It's a great usage, looking at different lines there, different books, because they can vary quite a bit between them on what their key line is, whether it's 6.5. Also, the juice is a bit different than college. You're not always looking at those -110s, -115s, -130s, not uncommon, +115. You're kind of all over the map. So you really kind of have to do a little more homework and, again, shopping around to make sure you get those best lines you can.
So now if you're making a bet and you're seeing the top scoring team in the NHL is playing the bottom scoring team, how is that? You think the top scoring team is the one to go after? You go high because it's a top scoring team, or you think kind of with college football, the mentality that the better team is going to control the game, so you go that way with it?
Well, it's a good one to bring up. Interestingly enough, two of the top teams at this point are the Boston Bruins and the Vegas Golden Knights, which Boston's sitting right at the top of goals per game, right at 7, I think now. And then you've got the Golden Knights at, I think 4.9, right around 5 is where they're sitting. So the best and worst team have a huge variance. So that's one actually is probably going to hit on a little bit more when we talk about the Bruins game, but kind of a segue into that. Looking, Boston's 4 per game, goals 4 per game are right at 4.4 currently. Goals against 2.6. So that's one you want to sometimes look at the opponent and seeing what they're scoring. So Boston's not giving up much. Is it a team that's scoring a lot, or are they not scoring a lot? So kind of there is more to it than just thinking the best team's going to dominate. It's kind of looking at that, and then also looking at the matchup itself for goalies. So there is a little, I think, more to it than college, where you can kind of look at just kind of the numbers, or again, okay, we're pretty confident this team's going to win. They're going to blow them out. So it's betting on what they're going to score versus the other team.
Well, you're talking about that Bruins Maple Leafs game. Obviously, we don't have a line on that one as we're recording this. As far as ahead of time, are you saying in your head, oh, I think the total should be this, therefore, if it is not, I'm going to bet the other side? Or are you kind of saying, you know what, I'm going to wait and see what the line says, then I'm going to look at it? What's your workflow for doing that?
Looking ahead, kind of putting in kind of the model we have built out currently, can kind of have a projection for that game as far out as we want. Again, I mentioned early in the season, numbers can shift huge. Boston, I'm gonna keep hitting on them because they're a good example. But no, they were under 2 goals against per game, and then they gave up 5 the other day to the Penguins in a 6-5 high scoring matchup. All of a sudden they're up to 2.6. Again, not a huge jump, but early in the season, you can have a half-point jump in a matter of a game. So you do have to keep an eye and keep kind of updating where those projections are early in the season. But again, at this point, you can look at the game and say what it's going to be. Again, interestingly enough, before we record this, they're playing the Rangers on Thursday night. And again, kind of similar number for Rangers and Maple Leafs, who will be playing Saturday. And that line came out at 6, which is interesting. Kind of have the Leafs at Boston sitting at 6.5 right now. So that'll be interesting to see where the line drops. Does the consensus come out at 6 or 6.5? And then again, kind of looking at those other factors of goals for, goals against.
And you mentioned that minus 130, plus 110 or 115, whatever you're getting on the other side of that line like that. I mean, it's a lot different than college football. So that's where sites like sportsbettingintel.com, I think, in my opinion, come in fabulously, because you can get the right side of that line. And it's such, a half a goal, right? We're talking a half a goal, and it's such a huge difference in hockey. I love it. I did catch that Penguins. Well, I caught the synopsis of the Penguins game. I believe that one went into overtime, and Boston did cover it. They only have 1 loss as we're talking. They haven't played in the Rangers, which our fans will know what happens with that game by the time this airs. But they have that 1 loss, and it was to the Senators, and that was a high-scoring game when the Bruins lost to the Senators. They're really looking good. So I'm excited for that Bruins Maple Leafs game. You got to give us a little something. What are we doing here? What are we looking for in that game?
Again, I think it's coming and looking at where that line comes out. So again, as of now, projecting 6.5, kind of both teams based on what they've been doing. But that's an interesting one. Again, Boston, 4.5 goals a game is what they're scoring. Leafs are giving up 3 on average. But again, the Leafs are only scoring 2.5 per game. So are they going to be able to put up good numbers against Boston's D goalie that's only giving up 2.5? It's an interesting one to look at, because again, it dictates that Boston should win. It looks like a 4-2 game. I mean, just on paper. So yeah, it'll be an interesting one to see where the line comes out, if it's at 6 or 6.5, kind of which angle to go.
It'll also be interesting too, because for the Rundown Nation that doesn't know this, hockey is more of a NHL, specifically most hockey for that matter, more of a baseball sport where you have a puck line similar to, a run line in baseball, rather than a spread where we have, it's a different number depending what team's playing what team. Generally in the NHL, I'm guessing you're getting to that puck line at 1.5, no?
Yeah. I mean, that's the better way to look at it. Get your half points and kind of go from there. That's where, again, on SBI, when you look at the game breakdown, it's great because you can look at your totals line, shift it kind of like you and Story were looking at last week, and be able to shift and take a look at, what that half line movement does to those numbers, and if that fits what you've got. Kind of one other thing too, kind of want to touch on looking at the models again, looking ahead to Saturday, which again, like I said, the lines aren't out, but two that I'm real curious to see is where the Seattle Kraken and Pittsburgh Penguins come out. That's our highest projected total at this point, just over 7. So see where that comes out. And then on the complete opposite end, you've got the Knights, who again, top team with the Bruins in the league at this point, are playing the Canadians, and that line's at 5.5, or projected. That's what we're projecting at this point for total points. So to the extremes, and it isn't so much kind of like college. Okay, I've got a team I really follow and kind of want to lock in there. I feel good about that. You can look at these numbers and see a projection. If the line doesn't come out right, you just kind of have to move on. You just can't always pick your bets ahead of time. You kind of have to do what the line dictates, and sometimes just sit them out if it doesn't fit right.
Well, I saw we have the sports betting intel. I love being in you guys' Discord over there. And the other night you messaged about the Caps Vegas game. I know you just mentioned the Knights now, and you were saying how the under looked pretty enticing. You hit pretty well on that one last night, did you not?
Absolutely. I mean, came in at 6.5, projected 5.5. Ended up being a 5-goal game. Easy win.
Yeah, and we all know you have a little bit of insider knowledge on those Capitals. That is your hockey team. Fortunately, they lost the other night to the Carolina hockey team that is much better, probably the best in the nation, but we need to move on. You know what? I can't have you talking about hockey all night. We're the college football rundown, and I'm not going to let you move to soccer, so we're going right into college football. You tell me what game you want to talk about. We're going to go over one of those. How about that?
Yeah, that works. Can move on. I mean, everyone's talking about this week, Tennessee, Georgia. That's the big one, right?
That's a huge one. So, Mr. Real JZ, this is not a Pac-12 game, but I know you catch a college football game every now and again outside of the Pac-12. What is there to look at this one?
Well, it's interesting looking at, defense here. I mean, obviously we know Georgia D, number 2 in the country, giving up about 10 points a game. Tennessee's not too bad, ranked at 26, giving up, I think, 20 a game. So quite a bit higher there. But it'll be interesting to see what shows up here. I mean, Tennessee has the number 1 rated offense at 49 points a game, Georgia at 6 with 41. So for as solid as their defenses are, they're also putting up a lot of points. So I think it's going to be great to see kind of how that clash plays out.
Oh, it's going to be great to see for sure. And I know you listen to the rundown, and I appreciate you listening to the rundown. With all that content out there, you can listen to a number of podcasts. I'm glad you choose us, Mr. Real JZ. I'm sure you know that this is a heads up game between me and Woj by now. I have Georgia. He has Tennessee. So you coming here is adding fuel to the fire. I love it. I'm clear about my position. You kind of dance around the subject. I want to get you nailed down on this one. What is your team? I get it. It's 2 good teams, but you got to pick one, right?
I mean, it's hard not to take Georgia's D. I mean,
there you go.
As much as you highlight the offenses, Georgia's D's just, they're good. That's all there is to it. I think it will be interesting though, because Georgia clearly hasn't played as strong of a schedule. I mean, as far as opponents, Oregon obviously was a rough game 1 for them, but Georgia, looked good, even though Oregon is a completely different team at this point. But yeah, I'm excited to watch Georgia's D against Tennessee's offense and see how that comes out. See if Hyatt keeps dominating all fantasy leagues at wide receiver.
Well, I hate to do this. I should have asked you before we started if this is okay, but I'm going to out you as an Oregon Ducks fan. Is that okay? Is it okay for the Rundown Nation to know that you are a Ducks fan?
Did I slip up a little there?
No, I'm saying, I don't know if you caught it. They're in the playoff committee ranked them number 8, which I think is a fair ranking for them at this far in the season. Anyways, they haven't won out yet. So I'd like to get your opinions on that, just behind TCU, just above USC, which I think USC is a crap rating. They should not be in the top 10. Why the college football playoff put them in there? I don't know. If you guys want to hear me rant about that and you hadn't listened to our main episode, go ahead and check it out. But what do you think about that Oregon at 8 in the college football playoff rankings?
It's fair at this point. I mean, I think the bigger question is going to see how rankings play out after Tennessee, Georgia, how far that losing team moves down. And Alabama's clearly going to stay up there, unless Dynamic Daniels takes it to them this weekend. TCU is interesting too. They're up there. They don't have a lot of tough competition left either. Ohio State, Michigan's going to work itself out eventually. I think Oregon's just got to keep winning and see what happens. The other one, like I mentioned earlier this week in the week ahead blog, Clemson, Notre Dame this weekend. Interesting. I'll be interested to keep watching the ACC. I think if North Carolina wins out, Clemson wins in the championship. I mean, that makes a strong case for them. But if one of those two teams loses prior to them, takes some steam out of that game, that bumps them back, gives Oregon, Pac-12 a light looking in, I guess.
Yeah, I actually agree with you there. And I think as a Ducks fan, you probably hate TCU right now, and you probably hate the Tigers over there at Clemson. They are your new rival, I would guess, because Oregon does need a little bit of help. I like what you said about they're in the right place. We got time left in the season. I don't disagree with Oregon at 8. So I kind of agree. I like what you said. I won't make you talk about college football. I know you guys over there at Sports Betting Intel, you do a lot of sports, a lot of different sports. So let's go on. We'll move to another one. Not soccer. You throw soccer on this, you're getting the big X real quick. But what other sports should we move to?
No, I think we got to take a look at the NFL this weekend, right?
Hey, that's not my area of expertise. When it comes to the NFL, I bet on it, but I'm a numbers guy in the NFL. I'm not an analyst. We had Mr. Story. I'm sure you listened to the podcast last week. He's always talking about the NFL. I love reading about your week ahead blog posts on the website at sportsbettingintel.com. You go into a lot of NFL games, and that's where I kind of pique my interest and start to look at the numbers. So I want to say, are we going to go to the Chiefs? Please tell me we're going to the Chiefs.
Chiefs Titans. Oh yeah.
Yes. All right. There we go. You
Sunday
have
Night
the mic,
Football.
sir.
Sunday Night Football, two good teams, 5-2 each. Big storyline here is will Tannehill get back to playing after Malik Willis this last week? Interestingly, news Tannehill and Henry both limited practice this week. Just could be kind of the standard NFL. Limited doesn't necessarily mean a lot for Henry. Tannehill, we'll see after he sat out last week. Whether they bring him back against the Chiefs, who are a 12.5 point favorite. So that tells me they've got to be thinking he is not playing. But yeah, that'll be the thing to keep an eye on. That as well, I know Story's planning on having a blog come out about the NFL preview, kind of look back on what happened, what's coming ahead. So hopefully he hits on this game and gives us his take on it. I've got a feeling which way you're leaning in that game. Is that correct?
How would you know? Go ahead. Take your best guess. Well, what do you think?
I mean, probably a slight lean to the Chiefs is my guess.
Hammer the Chiefs. Hammer the Chiefs. They're not giving 30. You're taking the Chiefs in this football game. And again, you don't want to listen to my opinion on the NFL. I love the Chiefs. I love what they're doing. You said Tannehill. I know Texas A&M. He was a quarterback over there. So he must be a quarterback still.
He is still a quarterback. Yes, that's very good.
All right. And I know that Patrick Mahomes, my homie, Patrick Mahomes, he's the quarterback on the Chiefs. So I'm guessing Tannehill is the quarterback for the Titans. Am I correct? Is my logic correct in that?
You're really putting pieces together.
Let me tell you.
Anything by you.
I'm a quick study, buddy. You're not getting anything through this steel trap. Yes, I said that correct. But hey, so what do? We hit on the NHL. We hit on college football. We hit on the NFL. You guys still have more sports over there that you're doing. College basketball is coming up. We were talking about that last week. I'm a big college basketball guy. Are you excited for that over there at SBI?
Oh, absolutely. We're looking forward to that. Like we talked about earlier, getting the NHL models going, getting NBA too. Hit on that. We've got some experts coming up, but we'll get some models coming out for that. Kind of at this point, kind of looking to put things out and post similar to how we were back on Dinger Tuesday, the best day of the week. So we'll look at getting some NBA, maybe some NHL out there to get some breakouts similar to that, as that was popular and well received.
I love it. And this content, you said that you're going to be putting out this, NHL data driven models. I'm guessing you're like going to be giving us some statistics or some, analysts on the game. Where are they going to find that? Is it going to be within the site somewhere? Is it going to be on your social medias? How are they going to be able to find that if they wanted to?
Social will be the big one. So look in Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Twitter's kind of the main one to follow. But yeah, you can find it anywhere. That'll be coming up. Regular postings. We'll also be sending out kind of regular newsletters, sending out 2 to 3 times a week, so you can get your information there. yeah, we're kind of everywhere you're looking for us, and we'll be putting that out coming up soon.
I love it. I love it. Thanks so much for joining us today, Real JZ. I want to personally thank you for taking my side in the college football rundown. First ever heads up college football rundown pick 'em between me and Woj in the Georgia Tennessee. I want for the record to show the Real JZ backs Wahl, not Woj. And I want to thank you for coming on again, Mr. Real JZ. I hope we have you on soon. Maybe we can get you and Story on an episode. How's that sound?
Oh, absolutely. Great to be here. Great to be back. Yeah, keep an eye out for good things coming from SBI. And yeah, let's get that episode with Story going.
Hey, before we sign off, you got to sign off on your line because I read all your blog posts. Go ahead and give it to us. Give us your sign off line. I love it.
Well, over at SBI, we always say, remember, you don't have to bet, but when you do, bet with Intel.
Oh, yeah.